First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. As always, appreciate you all joining us wherever you're watching. You know, we live stream on our social media channels, on our apps, on our websites. There's a lot of places to find us. But one thing we get to do here is have great conversations about interesting events. That's part of what we cover. And one of those is something that, well, if you're from the Northwest, you've definitely heard of it. But most likely, you've heard of it nationally or internationally as well. And I'm talking about the Pendleton Round-Up, which starts up on September 9th. This is an annual event here in the Northwest that brings people from all over the country, all over the world. I know much more than that. And what we're going to be doing is actually talking about the history of it, what to expect from it, what's going on this year. And we've got two great experts to do that for us. And joining us right now, we have Pat Reay, the Publicity Director for the Pendleton Round-Up, and also Tia Bledsoe, the Brand Heritage Director for Pendleton Whisky, closely tied in there as well. Pat and Tia, thank you very much for joining me today. I've always found the Pendleton Round-Up to be so fascinating, and I think a lot of people do, but the history of it is really incredible as well. And I wondered if we could start off with that. And I don't know who wants to go first on this. I'll let you two decide that. But maybe give us the origin story of the Pendleton Round-Up.
Well, Greg, let me kind of start with that. The origin started after a 1909 4th of July event that happened in town, and it was very successful. So in 1910, the business leaders and community rallied around establishing the first ever Pendleton Round-Up. So 1910 is the start date for this iconic event. And it was, that at that time in 1910, there was over 7,000 people that attended this event.
Wow.
So that's pre-automobile for a lot of folks. So you had a great community gathering that started, and it grew around our native encampment area. So it wasn't just a rodeo; it was really a community gathering, and it started in September for a reason, and that is because harvest for our farmers was basically wrapping up. So the second full week of September, harvest should be done. That way, all the farmers and ranchers can come to a community event.
So it all starts back then, and you mentioned, surrounding a lot of other things like the Native American community there and that as well. So what was that first event like? What was was it a full rodeo, or what exactly happened at that first one?
Yeah, there's a lot of different events that have changed. So the evolution of rodeo has definitely changed. A lot of bronc busting, a lot of horse events. There's been buffalo riding. There's been all kinds of wild stuff that had happened over time. But again, it was the culture of the community, the native involvement, the encampment is something. When we talk about an experience, that is something. When you see the Pendleton Round-Up, you've got a massive arena and you've got an Indian village that's outside of it.
And that's all part of the entire giant event that goes on now. So transitioning, from these 100 years, you mentioned there's a lot of changes that have happened. What are some of the biggest changes that have occurred over that massive amount of time?
Well, I mean, lots of arena, location changes. You've got an iconic bucking horse logo that's tied to our brand partners, very well protected trademark. In the bucking horse, you've got the North Bucking Chutes. So when you come to the arena and you see the colorful wooden bucking chutes, those are very iconic. And then you've got, the evolution of the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, as well as the Women's Pro Rodeo Association. So two different associations. So you have men's and women's events going on now.
You got everything happening there.
Yeah, full complement. I mean, if you want to walk through the events, I mean, you've got saddle bronc and tie down and steer wrestling and bareback and bulls and girls breakaway and team roping. So you have a header and a heeler. You've got girls barrel racing, not to mention Indian relay racing. That is always a fan favorite.
And don't forget the wild cow milking.
Wild cow milking.
Wild cow milking.
Event.
That's my favorite.
What, are you just going out and trying to tackle a cow and milk it? Like, I don't understand how that works.
Yeah, that one is a wild one. So that one ends our show. So You dump a bunch of cows, mother cows, in the arena. You've got somebody horseback and somebody on the ground. So horseback's got to rope the cow. Then you've got to mug the cow. Then the guy or the gal who's roped it's got to jump off, milk the cow, and then run it back to a circle in the arena. And you've got to milk it enough to at least make some milk in the bottle. And it's chaos.
That sounds like chaos.
Our arena is a very large grass infield. That is one thing that is very unique about Pendleton.
And Tia, tell me about your history with the Roundup. How did you get involved originally?
Well, my history goes back to Pendleton Whisky, who basically partnered with the Pendleton Roundup and became one big family. We're named after the Pendleton Roundup, and we're so honored to be a part of an organization that is basically one of the most famous and respected rodeos in the world. So our history is their history. We're both steeped in true Western tradition. And I think, with us being born in the great American West and knowing what the Roundup embodies of family and camaraderie. And so, yes, you have this, 1 week out of the year, but it transcends into a year-round feeling in this community that just comes out and supports not only the town itself, but then the surrounding areas. And so, yeah, I mean, they are the epitome of rodeo culture, Western lifestyle. And you don't meet a stranger when you go to Pendleton. They embrace you, and they welcome you to the event. So it's so much fun.
I think that's a good question, actually, or something to maybe talk about. So when you mentioned, a true Western and a rodeo culture, and for a lot of people who maybe haven't been to that or haven't experienced that, or that's something new to them, how would you explain what that is to maybe that person who's never been to an event like this?
Pat, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So, I mean, the Western lifestyle is really about partnerships, friendship, work ethic. I mean, there's a bunch of qualifying characteristics. So, when Tia mentions a brand partnership, the Pendleton Roundup and our partner with the Happy Canyon Company really focus around the community involvement. Our event is a partnership with lots of businesses, both private and nonprofit. So if you come to the Pendleton Roundup, a lot of our local community groups, might be the ones serving you the cheeseburger or your beer, or be bartending in the letterbuck room, or wherever they're at, fundraising for lots of worthwhile community purposes and events.
I've heard of the letterbuck room.
Yeah, exactly. And just to touch on one of the things that we did is we've rolled out the Pendleton Whiskey Champions Edition, and that is specifically created to honor the generations of volunteers and family and community that come out, and then the athletes that compete. And it's only available in Oregon. It's released right before Roundup. And again, it's just to celebrate that those generations, past, present, and future.
And mentioning, with generations past, present, future. So over time, this is over 100 years now, things obviously change all over the place during that time. But looking at it from the Pendleton Roundup standpoint of starting from that park, starting in that early era, and now this being really a huge event in all of rodeo. I know that it's part of the Rodeo Hall of Fame. Lots of honors there, and I won't pretend to know all of them. I know it's big. So tell us about how the Pendleton Roundup, and it being in Oregon and the Northwest event, how does that stand up in the national community when it comes to rodeo?
Well, I mean, you talk about accolades, and in all of our accolades, we're the 9-time Large Outdoor Rodeo of the Year. We've won a Remuda Award for the best livestock. I think the key to that is it's the volunteers. So when Tia mentions generational impact, we have volunteers that their grandparents have volunteered. We have the youth of the year. So our Top Hand Award, we recognize youth because we know, we're 113 years strong this year. Us as directors, we're volunteers. We're just hopeful that we can hand this off to the next generation and the next generation. and this community event continues to get stronger and stronger.
And how many people attend Pendleton Roundup each year?
So, you know, a sellout is about 17,000. So you're looking at 60 to 80,000 people minimum come to town for the week of Roundup. And, you know, some folks will come for one event, some will come for the entire week. Most come for the entire week. So if you come to Pendleton, what you would expect to see is every baseball field, every school, playground area, people's driveways full of RVs and tents, and people camp out, and Pendleton flags flying all over town, and the whole community really embraces it. So, you know, when you talk about the Northwest, I mean, the Northwest knows about the Pendleton Roundup. We're part of another organization called the Big Four Rodeo Association, which is partners with Kennewick, Lewiston, Walla Walla, and Pendleton Roundup. And so we were an association that was trying to get contestants up to the Northwest. So, you know, it was a struggle, back in the 60s and 70s to get contestants up. But now, I mean, we're one of the biggest, rodeos in the PRCA. And this year, I can tell you, for our event. So that is an all-time high. We're setting a record. And it's because of the experience that we provide, you know, not only to our contestants, but to our guests. Wow.
I mean, that's a lot of people just competing, let alone that many people in town. What kind of an economic impact does that make for the Pendleton area?
Oh, it's massive. It's massive. We've done an economic impact. It's very dated, so I don't want to throw out a number, but it's in the tens of millions of dollars each year. And it's really the region, because, you know, Pendleton can only handle so many folks in town. There's only so many motel rooms and restaurants, and, you know, folks stay from Hermiston to Walla Walla to Tri-Cities and everywhere in between.
Wow. So going back to talking about the event itself. So this is coming up September 9th, right? Is opening day?
Kickoff parade.
Kickoff parade on September 9th. So
yep.
I know for a lot of people, and I've had this experience. I grew up in the Northwest as well, and I'll be honest, somehow I still haven't been to the Pendleton Roundup, which is a shame, and that's a shame I will bear.
We should
I need
remedy
to fix that. Yeah, I gotta remedy that immediately. But for somebody who hasn't been before, maybe who has never been to a rodeo, say there's somebody out there who's just like, I don't quite understand this. You know, I live in the city. What happens out at, you know, this event in Eastern Oregon or Central Oregon, however you want to classify it? You know, what goes on out there at this big Roundup event? What would you say to someone like that who has never experienced it? What would it be like for them walking in there for the first time?
Boy, I would say overload and awe, because, you know, our week-long event really has a lot of diversity to it. So, you know, from the kickoff parade, which is a motorized parade, you know, to a kickoff concert this year with Craig Morgan and Clint Black, and that's in the Happy Canyon Arena. Then we just start with, you know, lots of rodeo runs, which are called slack. So you run extra runs during slack. So Monday and Tuesday are busy with slack, but Monday and Tuesday nights, we're also part of the Extreme Bulls Tour Series. So we're the tour finale. And so you're going to see, you know, 24 of the top bull riders in the PRCA compete. Plus we added 2 wild cards this year. So that adds a little more contestant, pizzazz to it. Is Lewiston and Albuquerque's, you know, whoever wins their event, they're going to come in as wild cards. So we do that event Monday and Tuesday night in the Happy Canyon Arena. You know, then we just start rodeoing. And once we start rodeoing, it's all about 1:15, the start time. So I would say anybody who comes to the Pendleton Roundup, you make sure you're in your seat well before 1:15.
I like that gives a little bit of time in the morning in case you're up too late. So that's
there's a little bit of that. We have a lot of water holes, right, Tia?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. All with Pendleton whiskey ready for you.
Well, I think this is it's really interesting, you know, learning more about it, learning about the history of it, and especially for people out there who haven't been to it, but people who have been, they know what they're getting into and what's exciting, you know, about this. And it is just a quintessential Northwest event, you know, been going on, like you said, for 113 years. That's a staple. That's a staple in the Northwest. Well, anything else that you want to add in for everybody? Just to let them know about it if they want to find out more info or
Well, yeah, you can go to PendletonRoundup.com to find out more information. Tickets are going to be hard to come by on Friday, Saturday, but we probably have tickets available on Wednesday, Thursday. I would say, again, the bombs go off. And when the bombs go off, our grand entry is something that's spectacular. You need to be in your seat. Everything's horseback, everything's wild and Western. It's like I say, it's the letter buck.
Nice. Well, Tia, thank you very much, for joining me here to talk about this on Fox 12 Now. Tia, I know we're going to talk about the Pendleton whiskey a little more in a future segment here coming up. So we're going to be digging into that too. But I really appreciate you both joining me and congratulations, 113 years. It's kicking off soon. I know you have a lot on your plate, I'm sure, to get ready with before this actually starts. But thank you for spending some time here with us.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Letterbuck.
Nice. I need to get one of those. And thank you to everybody for tuning in to Fox 12 Now. Really appreciate all of you. As always, you can find all of our interviews on our YouTube channel for Fox 12 Oregon or the new Fox 12 Now tab at kptv.com. You can check out everything that we cover, which is a lot of stuff, including great events like this and finding out about the history and just learning more about really cool things that happen here in the Northwest that you can get to. So thanks for tuning in. We're signing off right now. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.